Hi everyone, this is Abrar. Welcome to Abrar Knowledge channel. Today's topic is my favorite topic. Is called Minitab, how to plot the charts, all about navigation and so on. So this is the reference which I have taken from the from the Wikipedia. So it says that the initial release happened in 1972, and Minitab version also helpful in the both in operating system. It works Windows and Mac, and basically it is a statistical tool, and the website is minitab.com. So in this one, what are the things which you're gonna mull over today is number one, what is Minitab 17 worksheet and what is calculator, navigation, and then individual moving range chart, how to plot the X bar R chart, how to plot the histogram, how to plot the scatter diagram, Pareto, GRR, and ANOVA, analysis of variances. So to give you some basic definition of Minitab, Minitab helps to analyze a wide range of data. So why it is called wide range of data? Let me give you a scenario. Let's say you have 10 line of items or 10 data set. Let's say it takes 5 seconds to calculate and give you the mean value. And then you have one more data set, which is 1 million data sets you have. So what the beauty about Minitab is it takes the same amount of time even if you have 10 data set or 1 million data set. It takes the same amount and it does not consume your RAM value. It does not bring so much data traffic and all that. It does it very efficiently and at the very best and peak speed as such. So particularly where it is used in measure and analyze phase of DMAC, define, measure, analyze, improve, control. Minitab has all the calculation built in. You don't need to dictate. For example, in Excel, you have to create a formula. For example, if you wanted to find out mean equal to mean, you need to select the array and then close that one. But Minitab has everything default in it. Minitab provides the quick, effective solution for the level of analysis required in Six Sigma, particularly. While in Excel, you have to do everything, you have to do it in manually, and with the help of formula, you need to create manually. But Minitab has its own, built-in formulae, and when you all you need to do is you need to pick up the navigation. It takes by itself automatically. So let's talk about Minitab Worksheet. In this one, so how to go to the worksheet? This is we can go to File, New, and then you have two things. One is called Minitab Worksheet and Project. The only difference between is Minitab Worksheet is like one file, and project meaning like multiple tabs. If you wanted to have, you can go for Minitab projects. So new workbook will be open up, and this one I wanted to very importantly I wanted to talk about it. In Excel you have row one. For example, you have a header is operator data value, so these are the header for you. But Minitab you have a special allocation called row zero where it is being dedicated for header. You can have a header. So basically the header, now let's talk about the header now. So the row zero is called header. So in this one, you can, if the value is being denoted like C1T, let's say C1 is the column 1, column 2, column 3, and so on. C1T meaning like that particular column contains a text. So in Minitab, always it goes with the column, right? So in this one, if it has anything C1 associated with anything text T, that means a text. If you have a D, that means in this case C2D, it is date. Why? Because I have the date here. And if it is anything tick mark, it called formula. And anything you have a value, that means variables. So the minute you populate the value, it identifies it and keep it ready. Whether the column is a variable, whether the column is a text, whether the column is a date format, whether the column is the formula being applied, all these it recognizes very quickly and easily. Let's talk about the calculator. So to find out, let's say this is the value I have, USL, LSL, target I have a mean, and I also have a standard deviation. I need to find out what is CP, process capability ratio, and process capability index, CP and CPK. So to do that, very simple, go to calculator, and then you can build the formula like USL. So here in this one, there is something called store is very important. Store result in variables. So let's say I wanted to find out CP. CP formula, you know, USL minus LSL by 6 sigma, right? So CP, I wanted to store the result in CP. You just declare that one, and then you can write the formula USL. You can pick up USL minus LSL by 6 sigma. You will get this one. And then if you wanted to have a CPK, same the formula you can have repeat. You can find out like CPK value you can store, and then USL minus X bar by 3 sigma, or X bar minus LSL by 3 sigma. You will get this value. Let's talk about the charts. Yeah. So let's talk about IMR, individual moving range chart. So if you wanted to have, when we use the IMR chart, when you have only one variable or only one column, we can use IMR chart. In this case, it is recognized as C2, just C2. That means it is just a variable. Why it is variable? 50.5, 50.2, all these are different values we have. It's called variables. So why it is denoted as C1D? Because it contains date format. So okay, by the way, how to do that? In the Minitab 17, go to statistic, called stat, and then control charts. Then we are talking about individual one. So individual moving range chart, only one column, right? So variable charts for individual, you can go for IMR, and then you can pick up, this is Y, Tark is Y, and X is called stamp. How to find out the stamp? You can just stamp and feed the value called date. This is the date format, right? You can feed. So R, I mean Tark is my Y, and date is X. So you can feed it. So this is the graph, typical graph you will get it. Let's talk about more than one column you have. If you have one column, you can use IMR. If you have more than one column or variables you have, then you can use X bar R chart. Let's say in this case, the same case, control charts, instead of variable chart for individual, you're gonna use variable chart for subgroup. So you have X bar R chart. Again, you feed all these value like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, all these, that is called X, and then stamp it. This is what the date value, you're gonna stamp it. And then the fourth one, if you wanted to give a label, you can have a label like, mean, what is the title, what is the notes. If you wanted to have an additional notes and all that, you can do that. And then typically if you wanted to, this is very interesting features in the Minitab. So for example, if you're looking for X bar R chart, you can go to that. You can give stages, you can give limits, all these. You will get very beautiful chart, very fraction of a second you will get the charts. So for example, if you wanted to find out the capability, the same thing you can do. So what you do, you can go to start and can go to, sorry, yeah, quality tools, and then you have a capability analysis. In the capability analysis, you can feed all these value and lower limit and all that, and then you will get the capability value also as well. So whether is X bar, at the same time you can also find out the capability analysis also as well in parallel. So let's talk about the histogram, right? Histogram, any graph, whether it's histogram, whether it's dot plot, whether it's scatter diagram, whether it's you have a condor chart, all these comes in graph chart. Let's talk about that. Let's say I have this data set and I wanted to find out histogram. Very simple. Go to graph, go pick up the histogram, and then with fit. With fit is bell curve, right? So we can always select with fit, because when you give simple, it does not give a bell curve. So you can give with fit, and then you can give a minor text and all that, major text if you wanted to have, so that your graph will look very neat. and then you can feed all these values. Here my variables are 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and then you can feed it, and then you can give a scale. In the scale you can give x-axis, and then if you wanted to give a labels, you can give it titles and so on. And if you wanted to give a multiple graphs, let's say you have two options being there. One is called overlaid on the same graph or on a separate graph. So if I select separate, so for example each time, for example 7 o'clock you will get one chart, 8 o'clock one chart, 9 o'clock one chart, 10 o'clock one chart, and so on. This is one chart is there. If you wanted to have all together, so 7 to 1, if you wanted to have all together, so you can also have this chart, that is something called overlaid on the same graph. If you overlaid it, all these 7 values you have, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11, 12, 1, all these 7 values will come together as a overlaid one, right? Scatter diagram, scatter, you know that we have already dealt on this topic. Scatter is used when both are variables. In x-axis and y-axis we have variables, you can use it. In this case, height is height is varying it, 164, 165, 166, and weight also is variables. In both the cases you can use scatter diagram. Scatter diagram, if you go graph, the first one is scatter diagram, and again you can pick up with regression, meaning like it will give the graph, and then you can give okay, and you can give select all these ticks. You can give here, you can give like what is y-axis. In my y-axis I want to find out height, and x-axis is weight. You can do that, and you can give a scale. In the scale you can give again, you can say you wanted to have in the same graph or overlaid. If you wanted to have overlaid, it gives the scatter also as well. So please watch my previous video on how to find out the scatter and all that. So regression, let's say if you wanted to find out the regression, very simple, start statistic and regression fitted line, and then you can give y and x, height and weight, and then you can give graph. In the graph 4 in 1. If you give 4 in 1, this is very beautiful graph, you will get it. Residual plots you will get it for height. For example, let's say normal probability versus fate, histogram versus order, and all that you will get it. And if you want the text form, like you can give control alt m, that will give something called show session folder. So that means you can also see that graphic, I mean textual form, like what is the r square value, what is the regression, what how much the error is there, all the text value you will get it. So scatter diagram, so if it is positive and negative, if it is positive is a +1, if it is negative it's -1, if no correction is 0, if it is a partial one is 0.5 and minus 0.5. We already covered in the scatter diagram. I'm going to quickly touch upon that and go over to Pareto. Pareto is the most advanced and the fastest way you can do it in Minitab. Why I say that? Because in Minitab, let's say in Excel, if you wanted to do, you have to find out the sum value. You need to find out the second step. You need to find out the average. You need to find out the individual average. You need to find out then aggregate average and all that, and aggregate percentage and all that. But in Minitab, when the minute you feed the value, it does automatically all this, and also you need to sort the data and all that, right? So you need to sort by descending bigger to smaller, you can do and all that. But in Minitab does by itself. You don't need to declare. You don't need to filter the data. You don't need to manipulate the data and all that, right? So for example, this is the departments I have ABCD, and there are the expenses. I wanted to find out the Pareto. So how to do this is two. You don't need to create any formula and all that. Straight away you can go to start statistic quality tools, and then you can say defects or attribute. You can say departments, and that is your x-axis, and then frequency. That is what you have, like let's say number, travel expense, and then you can give this is the graph you will get it. So you will get like how much percentage, all these within fraction of second you will get it. That's the beauty of Minitab. And then let's talk about GRR, gauge repeatability and reproducibility. This is also I have talked on that topic. Let me quickly discuss on this one, on the navigation part particularly. So how to do? You can go to this is the data set you have, and start and quality tools and gauge RNR. So the commonly widely used is class method. You can feed like part number, operator, measurement system. The widely used is ANOVA, analysis of variances, and then you can go show session folder, control alt M, you will get the entire this value, like the textual value, like it also gives the NDC, all these background, and also you will get the chart also as well. This is on the navigation front. Let's say you wanted to find out design of experiment. Let's say this is the value you have, and temperature residential value you have. So you can go to ANOVA and main effect one. In the main effect, this is the response and this is the factors if you have, and then you will get like concentration and then temperature. The similar way, if you wanted to find out the interaction one, you can directly go for interaction also as well. Statistic, ANOVA, and interaction plot. This is the way you need residential and factors. If you wanted to do full fact one, you can do that, and this is the value you will get it. So I hope this video is very useful for you, and please do like, share, subscribe my channel. You have a nice day ahead.